If I could do things again, I would not have gone to school. And if I'm having children, I'm actually not gonna put them into the Dutch schooling system. You would think that someone would say that who actually hated school, but that's actually not the case. So one of my biggest flexes when I say this statement is that I actually went to university, and not only did I do one, I did two studies at the same time. So I'm actually very ambitious person, a person who is eager to learn. So this statement doesn't come lightly. It comes with a lot of consciousness and a lot of backup. And I'm gonna break it down in this video for you so you can understand why I wouldn't make that decision. Welcome back to a new video. My name is Chinye and we're gonna speak about school. Usually it's all about travel, but for me this is an important topic because it's one of the reasons why I'm traveling. So I'm never here to create divide. I'm always here to inspire. Some things in the world are done in a certain way, and it's always good to be cautious and to be very mindful about, is this actually what I want to do, or am I doing this because everybody is doing it? And school is one of those things that everybody just does. When your parents raise you, they just put you in school. You don't have any say about the matter. And the reason your family puts you in school is also because that's just what they are taught. It's not because it was necessarily a conscious decision. A lot of the times, parents don't even know exactly what is going on at school, the things we learn, the type of teachers we have. And school has been wild, I have to say. Like, there has been wild things happening there. There's adults at school who say very discouraging things, who do very disturbing things, and it's just a topic that needs to be discussed. We are the new generation who are gonna raise the children now. It's essential that we do a good job. Okay, let's start a little bit with the Dutch schooling system for the people who don't know it. In the Netherlands, you go to school when you're about 4 years old. You start in primary school. So we call it basisschool. In the primary school, you stay there for 8 years. So you start in group 1, and in group 8 you graduate and you go to high school. So in group 8 they give you this exam, they call it the CITO-toets, and it will decide how smart you are. So based on your scores on that exam, you will go either to VMBO, HAVO, or to VWO Gymnasium. So VWO Gymnasium is the highest level, the HAVO is the medium level, and then the VMBO is the lowest level. The amount of years you spend in high school is based on your level. If you go to VWO Gymnasium, which is the highest, you spend 6 years there. In HAVO, you spend 5 years. In VMBO, you spend 4 years. Then after high school, based on those same 3 levels, you will go to either MBO, HBO, or university. There's also some loopholes. So if you come from a lower level, you can also end up at university. So that's, in short, the Dutch schooling system. So a little bit about me. I went to school in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. I have done the whole trajectory from since I was 4 years old all the way up until I finished university. I actually have 2 bachelor degrees from university. I went to the Vrije Universiteit van Amsterdam, and I did the bachelor's at the same time. Not only did I go to the free university, but I also went to, in Holland, I went to Hogeschool van Amsterdam. I went to Universiteit van Amsterdam. That's how I got to explore, different types of school, different types of levels. I think a lot of the teachers were actually very weird in the schools. They were weird in the sense that they would actually discourage you. We had teachers who literally told us that we were gonna be nothing. There were teachers who told us you are gonna fail and you will definitely not make it to the next class. And that was not based on grades or anything. That was just them saying stuff, even though our grades didn't support that. There were very weird people there in an environment with small children who need inspiration to become the best version of themselves, and them just trash talking us. Aside from that, there were also a lot of teachers who were perverts and who actually looked at children in a way. If you put your children in school, are you aware of what type of people are actually teaching your children? because there were many teachers like that. And when you are young, you don't speak about those things. You, in your friend group, you might speak about it, or it's like a thing that is unspoken, but you have an understanding. You look at each other every time something happens, but it's not something that you typically go tell your parents. If your children doesn't tell you those things as a parent, like, how do you actually know where you're sending your children off to? It is like that many weird people actually end up working with children, like the people who shouldn't be working with children at all. Also, the second reason why I wouldn't put them in the schooling is because I feel as if there's many things that are being taught that are not essential to your life. You spend a lot of time in school, remember, like a lot of hours of your day are in school. When you actually get home, there's not much time left. You spend some time with your parents, eating, maybe watching a movie, showering, like there's not much time. So that's why it is important that the school teaches you the life lessons, the things you actually need to be thriving. Because if they are not going to teach you that, then it's okay. But then there needs to be more time allocated to you spending with family who's going to teach you additional things. And I'm talking about things like math and history. I'm not saying that they shouldn't teach math and history, but I'm saying like the complexity and the depth they go into, it's not necessary when you are a young child. If you want to study or become something like a job where you need maths, you can always get into that. But the things they learned and taught us at high school, it's just too much in depth. And then there's other things that they should learn you, like emotional intelligence, which is, in my opinion, the most important thing they should learn you. Because when you look at the world, there's a lot of divide going on, a lot of war all the way through history. So the key reason to solve those things is to have people have emotional intelligence, because wars and divide start from people who are not feeling good from the inside. Things like hatred and wrath, it all comes jealousy, it all comes from not feeling good on the inside. If you actually teach people how to deal with their own emotions, they will not project it outward, and they will actually know how to live in harmony with other people. So that's one of the most essential things that you teach in school, and you should actually make it a subject, just like math, history. Make it a subject like emotional intelligence. How do I deal with my emotions? How do I feel today? Which type of emotions are there? How can I resolve it if I'm feeling like this? How can I go from sad to happy? The basis of life. Also, the forms of coping. Why are they not teaching children how to meditate or how to pray, or just let them talk about their feelings? Let them write it down. Life is going to be ups and downs, so that is something that they will always need, not only for themselves but also to be in interaction with other people. I would also teach the children how to do their taxes. That's something you need to do every year. Like, how do they not teach that? I remember when I was like 19 or something, and I had to do my own taxes, and it's like, I have no idea how to fill this in. And then you need to go to your parents and stuff for that. But like I said, there's so many time you spend in school. They had enough opportunity to learn you those things. You want to have those perfect citizens. So why are you not letting them know how to do their taxes? How are you not letting them know how to start their own business? How do you not make them inspired or let them find their own passion? Then it's also not what they're teaching, but also how are they teaching it. So for instance, with the history, why would I have to study and remember from the top of my head all these different years when things happened? Why do I have to know that it was 1995? Why do I have to know it was 1802? Like, you can get the gist of it. So of course you can make them understand the timelines, but it's about the repetition. Like, the way they would quiz you was in a way that's not effective at all to your life. It just has to do with, okay, how good is your memory base? That's basically how the people go to higher education and are considered the smartest just because their memory retention is better and they can be focused better and study things in their head, like push it into their head faster. But that's not actually having anything to do with understanding a story. Who decided that this history was important to learn and not that history? Because I don't remember learning anything about the history of my own people. I don't remember talking about Africa. I don't remember talking about our kings and queens and the rich history we had and the minerals and the things that were being found in the earth and how Africa is actually where it all started and where we all descend from, and that's why it's called the motherland. I don't hear anything about that. But I did hear about the Greeks and the Romans and the Americans. And it's like, who made this curriculum and why are we studying this? And how true is this actually? And why do I need to put this in my head? All these numbers, like, why? And these are things you learn in high school. But when you go to university, they will give you history about science, and they will give you philosophy, and they will give you statistics, and these are all mandatory things. So these don't have anything to do with what you decide to study. And it's like, okay, if you want to give it, if you think it's essential, you can give a little bit, but it's like it's whole courses for years and years and years, and still you have never learned about the emotional intelligence, about the taxes, about the how to do a business, about how to meditate, pray, or make sure I feel more comfortable in my own skin. How do I deal with insecurities? How do I deal with depression or trauma, generational trauma? How do I speak to different people and be more socially inclusive? How can I speak to different types of generations? Like, how can I create a life for myself that is aligned with my passion? How do I inspire myself? Like, so many things that people struggle with today could have been solved if they would just teach it at a school. But there's a reason why they don't teach it, because they don't want to teach it. So then we, as a people, as parents, we should think about, okay, but what do I want my children to know? Because our children are so precious to us. That's what we make ourselves believe. But we don't make decisions for them, but let a government decide for them. Because you never decided what your child was going to learn in school. The government just made the curriculum and you just put them in it. And they also try to pressure you by saying, if your child doesn't go to school, we will actually go after you and make her go. That's crazy. Doesn't that sound crazy? Spend 9 months and you birth a child, and then the government says your child must be in school, otherwise we will come after you. And you don't think that's weird? So how do we resolve this? So how I would resolve it is by not putting them in the Dutch government system or the Dutch schooling system. And I would actually sit with myself. What would be the best for my child? And then those topics would come up, some of them that I named. So for me, I actually think it's important that my child learns how to fight. I think it's important that my child learns multiple languages. I think it's important that my child learns how to be emotionally intelligent. And if he or she is not feeling good, that they have mechanisms to deal with that so they can feel good again. I would like for my child to know that my child is more than a body, but also has a spirit, and how to nurture the spirit. I would let my child learn about nature and the power of nature and how we can grow food from the soil and how we should treat animals. I think it's important for my child to know the basics, like how can you build a house actually? How do economics work? How can I make money and be financially successful and make my money go last long for multiple generations? How can I start a business? How can I find my passion? Like, these things are important. These things are more important to me than maths. It's more important to me than their history. I would definitely, don't get me wrong, I will definitely learn my child history, but the correct history. The history of the ancestors. That's what I will teach my child. I will teach my child how to deal with people from different walks of life, how to have no judgment, how to be confident, how to be a good speaker, a public speaker, present themselves. There's so many things you can teach your child that's not being taught in school. And you could think like, okay, but I will just put them in school, but then I will teach them those things too. But there's no time for that. Like I said, your child is every day, except for the weekend in school. When they come home, they are tired. You don't want to drain your child because learning is fun and it's supposed to be fun. And they also need time for themselves to do their hobbies and have time with friends. So those things, they cannot coexist. All those beautiful, defined things your child needs to learn to be successful in life, it cannot coexist with the whole curriculum that this school system wants from them. And it's not only that you want to add extra things that you think are necessary, but they will also teach your child things that are damaging. Them being taught things that you don't want them to learn at all, and now you have to spend more time by unlearning them. I remember when I was in primary school, I was about 9 years old, and I remember every day we would watch this news. They call it Jeugdjournaal, which means like the youth news. So they have, just like they have normal news for adults, they make it for the children as well. So they will tell the same stories, but just make it more fun and interview children about things and then give them the updates about life. And for me, as a person who doesn't watch news, I wouldn't want my child to watch news because I already know that the media is not something that is 100% trustworthy. And also, as a platform that's created to create divide and fear in people and actually distract people from the real things that's going on. So now, if I put my child in the Dutch school system, she will watch that news every day, and they will try to brainwash the child. And now you have to put more action into debunking everything that they see out there. So it's actually also risky and dangerous. Some deliberate, some maybe not on purpose, but either way, it's not supposed to be in your child's mind and your child's heart. You want to create a beautifully divine person, and it's your responsibility as an adult that your child gets that. Just leave it up to someone else. That's not how we do it. That's not how we do it. So with the Jeugdjournaal, I was like 9 and I already didn't want to watch it. And I started complaining to my mom that I didn't like it and I didn't want to watch it. And my mom, she actually supported that, which was really cool. My mom also already knew at that time that the news was something that just spread fear and everything. I don't think she knew back then the depths and the lengths they would go through in the media, but she did know that it was not a positive thing to watch the news. So I remember she actually went and told the teacher that I didn't have to watch it anymore from now on. And they were very petty about it because, you know, the teachers, they are also brainwashed. They also believe actually that everything they teach is good for the children. So when you go against that, they also get a little bit salty. So I remember the way they solved it was like by putting me in the corridor. So I couldn't be in the class. They put me like somewhere in a corner, like a dark corner outside where it was not fun, and they didn't give me anything to do as well. No assignments or things. It was just they treated it as a punishment. But I didn't care because I didn't want to watch the news. So I would just, and I was good at being on my own. So I would just chill, you know, back there in that corner and just vibed for like 30 minutes. And yeah, shout out for my mom, to my mom for that, because she stood behind the things I believed in. That's how you raise and grow beautiful, independently thinking, confident children. And when a child is young, they are very easy to influence, especially in a peer pressure. So as a child, even though you think something is weird that's being done or said at school, you will not question it further because everybody else is doing it. That's also why I wouldn't put my child in the school system, because now they have this beautiful young mind that other people are trying to corrupt. And the beauty about it is if you teach your child all these things I said, like the how to pray, how to meditate, how to cope with depression, fear, trauma, um, emotional intelligence. If you learn your child this, it doesn't matter whatever society throws at them because they are always prepared to deal with it. But in this phase of their life, if you do not teach them that and they are just being thrown in society, then they will not know how to deal with it. And then they will end up like 50% of society right now who's going through the things. So that's why it's so important to teach them those things, because after that, when you set them free, they good. They good. Even the fighting skills I told you, they good. And that's actually the only thing you need to do as a parent. The parents, old school parents, think you need to put them to school so they can get a good job and then they can get money and then they can live a good life. But a lot of this life, it's not even physical. It's emotional and mental. So if you can control your emotions and you can control your mental, you don't need you don't need that job. Like you will find other ways to thrive. So me personally, when I was in school, like in university, I already knew some things are just bull. Like this doesn't make any sense. And I already knew I'm not gonna work that job. Even though I did know that, I still knew I made this investment and I was already, going towards getting my papers. So I did find the willpower to finish those, and not even one, I did two at the same time. So that is one of the biggest flexes of mine when it comes to that area, because I'm not speaking from a person who was kicked out of school and didn't like it, or who had trouble with school. I was actually very intelligent and it was very easy for me to get a high degree and go through the schooling system. And I speak to my sister about this sometime because she is now in high school. So she's having the time of her life. So she was like, How? How could you never send your child to school? I just don't understand. Like, she couldn't understand how it could be successful. Like, if I was her age back then, I also wouldn't understand, because this is what everybody does. And I actually can't wait until I have my child, because then they are gonna see. They are gonna see the fruits. They're gonna see what's being sowed. Because like I said, the things like multiple language, even the fact that you have real life experience already makes you like 10 steps ahead of someone who had just been in the school banks. Some kid who already traveled the world, who already knew multiple languages, who already been there and there and there, is just so much wiser and so much more resilient. What people oftentimes underestimate is the power of presence and the power of confidence and charisma. If you have two people in a job interview and one has all the papers and the other one doesn't have all the papers, but they have all the charisma and the confidence and the presence to actually be there, stand there, the social capabilities, that person will definitely get the job. People forget that life is not fair. Life is very fair, but it's not fair in a way that they think it is and want it to be. So it's not like, I did all the steps and I did all the things that you told me to do, so now I deserve this. No, life is about alignment. Because you did something in theory and on paper doesn't mean that you will get the desired results. If someone leads with a lot of purpose, passion, and spirit, they will get everything they want. They will walk through every door with ease because it's alignment. It's meant for them. I saw that in real life, how unfair life was, because there were many people who did slave away for that 10 and then they didn't get it. They still got that 6, for instance, while I got the 6 with minimal effort and still got to hang out with my friends and go on weekend trips. Life is not fair like that. You will see you will see people who do all the work for years and they did everything according to the book, and still they will not get what they wanted. And you will see other people who look like they didn't do anything. They were just, goofing around and having fun, being the life of the party, and they still got that opportunity. So now you wonder, if you're not going to put your child in school, then how is it gonna learn? Okay, so how do you go about it? If your child doesn't go to school, what does it do all day? As a parent, first you need to look at, what do I think is important? I told you what I think is important, named a few things. So now you can go look for that in the country that you're in. Let's say you think fighting skills are important. Well, now you're gonna look for a taekwondo school in the country. Let's say let's say you think it's important that your child learns how to deal with finances or do business. You're gonna just look for a course in that. There's many courses, many curriculums, many private tutors, private classes outside of normal schooling. So you can just be your own boss and put that together. Well, it's just gonna learn like you and I are learning right now. First of all, you are watching a YouTube video right now and you learn something new. That's a way of learning. Second thing, if I want to learn a new language, for instance, I was learning Arabic. How did I do it? Well, I just signed up for an Arabic school. I got into class and now I'm studying Arabic. Just how we as adults learn. You can put your child into classes. I am now currently learning Taekwondo. I just started it 2 months ago. How did I do it? I just called a man on Google and then I went into the class. Then another thing you can do is you can get a private tutor. You can send your child to a spot, or you can get a tutor to your house to do homeschooling for your child. And then you have more influence because you can actually talk about the tutor, what type of things you want your child to learn, which subject, and also in the subject, which curriculums are important. You will also have more eyes into the type of person your child is learning from. I know that's a concern of a lot of people. They are like, yeah, but if I don't put them in school, how are they gonna get, social skills? Well, there's enough classes where you can put your child in. Even with the Taekwondo, what I said, I did Taekwondo with like 20 other children. That's a place for them to do social skills. You can also put your children in hobbies. Every Monday, 9 a.m., your child is doing math. Every Thursday, your child is learning French. Every Sunday, your child is learning martial arts. Just like you would do as an adult, sign yourself up for different hobbies like Pilates or, I don't know, matcha making class. You can do that for your children. And you can also look at the country where you want your children to live, because there's actually countries where it's normal to do it like that. So not sending your children to that school system doesn't mean that it's going to be lonely. Like if you go to Pilates, are you lonely? No. With everything you do, there's always groups of people who are also doing it as well. Not only the adults, you have groups of children who are doing something as well. There's lots of ways for your child actually to be in a class with other children. And I'm traveling in Africa, and it actually even supported my thoughts on this, because I have met a lot of people who were not schooled officially, but they still learned so many things, like even a whole language like English. They have never been to professional schooling for that, but you speak to them and they speak perfect English. If you also step outside of the box, you will also see in other countries they do it in different ways and they actually thrive. So I give you more insight into my thoughts on school and the Dutch schooling system. If you want to know why I left the Netherlands, you can watch a video right here. And if you want to see my journey in Africa, watch a video right here. Thank you for watching. I see you in the next one. Stay high. Bye.